Violates the second law of thermodynamics. In a closed system unaffected by outside factors, entropy, measure of disorder, always increases and never decreases. In a closed system, things go from order to disorder unless work is performed on the system. In other words, if we accept the fact that our universe is a closed system, I've never heard anybody argue against that, just on a material and physical basis. The idea of the multiverse, which we'll take up in a minute, says that there are maybe so many universes that, there's infinite amount of universes, and you can say, well, but even those people who believe in the multiverse do not think one universe can affect the other universe. As a matter of fact, they think our universe has a certain set of laws, other universes have different laws, different formulas that work out. So anyway, entropy, you think about this. When the Big Bang happened and matter and energy exploded and expanded faster than the speed of light, the concept that was from order, very small, I don't know how small they think that singularity was. I don't know how small, it's like a millimeter, I don't know, small. All the matter and energy in the universe was there somehow and it expanded at faster than the speed of light. Now, when you have that happening, gravity has no effect. But the theory behind the formation of the stars and the planets and all that has everything to do with gravity. That the dust clouds came together because of gravity and formed stars. It really doesn't square with the second law of thermodynamics, which is universally accepted by all scientists I've ever heard of. So those are the 7 problems with the Big Bang, scientifically speaking. Now, the multiverse. Defined as a hypothetical set of finite or infinite possible universes, including the universe in which we live. Together, these universes comprise everything that exists. The entirety of space, time, matter, energy, and the physical laws and constants that describe them. In other words, the word universe, by the way, means what? Anybody know?
One.
Yeah, everything, one. Well, now I'm not going to get down on them. They can come up with whatever they want to. But they take the word universe, it's like the atom. You know what the atom is? Undivisible. We know the atom is not indivisible. There's all kinds of particles inside an atom. So people come up with these ideas. Well, the universe was supposed to be everything that existed, but now we got multiverses involved. And let's go through this, but there's nothing scientific about the multiverse. The multiverse comes from, well, let's get to the next slide here. This is a quote from Stephen Hawking in this book, and The Grand Design. It's a good read. I mean, I read it a couple times. This is a quote. There seems to be a vast landscape of possible universes, however, as we will see in the next chapter, you got to read the book, see what the next chapter says. Universes in which life like us can exist are rare. We live in one universe in which life is possible. But if the universe were only slightly different, beings like us could not exist. What are we to make of this fine-tuning? Is it evidence that the universe, after all, was designed by a benevolent creator? Now, I will say what he said after that. I didn't put it up here, but he said. Or does science have a better, or an explanation to it? You know what his explanation was? Multiverse. Stephen Hawking, I guess, being honest as he was, pretty much said, that this is the only answer I can think of to the fine-tuning of the universe, is to come up with the fact that there are an infinite amount of universes. And if you have an infinite amount of universes, one of them is going to be like ours. Because you know what infinite is, don't you? So it would have to be. All right, so first we go with Big Bang, now we're with the multiverse. This is not universally accepted, okay? But it's an explanation to the fine-tuning. Number 1, cannot be validated by the scientific method, cannot be observed, tested, or falsified. How would you ever prove there's no multiverse? And admittedly, the multiverse is a concept that attempts to answer the universally understood fine-tuning of the universe. This is the Achilles heel of Evolutionary cosmology is the fine-tuning in the universe. That's it. The only way they found out of it is the multiverse. And it's true. There's an infinite amount of universes. We would just be the lucky people, or the lucky beings, or whatever. 3, most astrophysicists do not agree with the concept. And most astrophysicists didn't agree with the Big Bang either when it came out that way. They do now. All right, next one. Here's a book by Lawrence Krauss, A Universe from Nothing. Okay? I consider this a comic book. I enjoyed it. I've heard him speak many times, seen his YouTubes, I've read his articles. In his book, A Universe from Nothing, Lawrence Krauss attempts to convince us that everything can come from nothing. He redefines empty space as being full of stuff that is nothing. Okay? And I hesitate to go any further, but he says that nothing that we understand as nothing is not nothing at all. It could come from a quantum fluctuation. Okay. When scientists start speaking over your head, in my opinion, they do it for a reason. Because they say, I'm up here, you're down there, what I say is true, you don't know anything about it. So that's what's coming, something comes from nothing. Let's follow Krauss a little bit here. This is what he says in the book. Empty space is a boiling, bubbling brew of virtual particles. Understand? Empty space. You're redefining empty space that pop in and out of existence at a time scale so sharp that you can't even measure them. So if these things are popping in and out of existence in time scales you can't even measure them, how could they actually be the source of the universe? And nothing can create something all the time due to the laws of quantum mechanics. And it's fascinatingly interesting. Okay. One more. This is his motivation. Quote from him, I can't prove that God doesn't exist, but I'd much rather live in a universe without one. All right, we all talk about bias, how we come at these questions with bias. And you all said, many of you, and I admitted that I have a bias toward belief in God. I started that way as a kid. Then became an engineering student and studied science at school. And there was all kinds of ideas being thrown around about how we came into existence and all that. And I started getting into it. Okay? And I've come to the conclusions I've come to based on my examination with what I would call an open mind, as open as you can have. I don't know how open yours is, but I feel like if I had been given enough evidence that I was wrong, I believe that. I haven't.